Okay. So in Illustrator, you're going to be using something that you make using the pen tool. In this case, we were just talking about how when you load something up in Procreate, sometimes it's frustrating because it's pixel-based. And in Illustrator, I tend to retrace things. In this case, I made something to kind of follow the line of this pattern. And I was able to turn it into a template when I double clicked it so that I don't affect it and it locks the layer. So I've just been working on top of it with the pen tool. And that means all these different things are selectable and I can change their thickness. If I go to my brushes, I could get pretty wild with it. In this case, I wanted to keep it basic. And I think all I did was change the width of the line. And that would be under stroke. So I made that 2 point thickness. When you have all the strokes the way you want them, I don't want to select this box. We'll just take that out for right now and put it on a different layer. Just layers get hidden under this stuff. Get rid of my box for now. When I select just my pen tool stuff, I'll see it's all selected here. I can also go to View, Outline. But what I want is all of the black areas. So we'll go to Path from Object, Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. And now all of this technically is shape. And for the areas that are overlapping, I would go to Pathfinder. If I didn't have it already open, like I didn't. And I can choose Merge. And all of my little paths that have overlap are now one object. And this should be able to be moved with one thing. And that's helpful because I still haven't found the cropping that I want to do with it. I can use my viewfinder and actually place it literally on the screen. I wish I could show what that looks like. But for now, I'm just going to enlarge my drawing. Maybe make it at the neck go off the corner. Or maybe I'll actually make it so that the this strange line kind of reappears right there. It'd be kind of like repeating that. When you want to do a repeat, I've got a 2-inch square, which means that whatever I do where this goes off of one edge down here, I want it to repeat over here seamlessly. What I'll do is I will let it, I'm going to resize it so you can see where it stops here and goes over here. But I'll take this and I'll go copy, paste, front, which means it's going to keep it in the same exact area. Then I'm going to hit transform. And this seems a little counterintuitive because it's going to go up, but I'm going to go on the y-axis and type in -2. And the reason that is because it's going to make it duplicate 2 inches above where it's located. And I press enter, and it appears here. So now I can kind of adjust this if I want the neck part to follow along the same line. And go there to select just the parts that I want to move, which are these points. I'll bring these over. Delete any anchors that may not be useful. I'm selecting multiple anchors by holding down Shift, but this is just how I'm making this version. And if I choose the white arrow, I can choose just certain specific points to move. Make them roughly screen, things don't pop out. And then when you want to connect things, you can select two paths that are very close to each other. I'll zoom in, and I'll say path, average, both, and I'll select these again. Hopefully it only has two dots connected. Looks like I need to delete this line first before it lets me join them. That sitting on top of it. Not sitting on top of that path. And actually, that's good enough for now. You don't actually have to connect them. I don't know if it's going to let me or not, because I've got a solid line here. Yeah, it's going to give me some mess with them. But now this is going to kind of seamlessly kind of keep repeating all the way down that way. And then if I want to use a part of font, I highly recommend using parts of like an ampersand. The nice thing about Illustrator is it shows you what that looks like in the menu. And there's just lots of different ways that it has different curls. The other thing that you can use to use a portion of that shape is webbing, the font up here, or wingding. So in this case, I'm just going to use this interesting looking magnifying glass. I'll position it in a way that I think will look interesting. And the same thing that I just did with this form, I'm going to create an outline of it so I can work with it. So I go to type, create outline. And if I'm just using this as it is, that'd be great, but I kind of want to change different parts of the background to be black and white. So what I'll do is maybe I'll increase the size of this. I can work with it a little more. Do something interesting with these lines. See if it combines the two. If I connect this and this and go to Pathfinder and merge, hopefully, yeah, just combines the two. And now, how I have this box on layer 3, I'm going to use that to make a new cropping. So just select, make sure it's on top. Bring to front, the notes are on the top layer. I'm hoping, even though they're not in the same layer, it'll let me crop with everything. So this will cut everything outside of the green box. I select crop. Now all I've got left is my 2-inch section. And as I was saying, I kind of want to affect this to maybe be black around this edge. So let's see what happens if I choose color black. Turns everything black. Let's see what happens if I undo that. I'll just make a copy and put it over to the side. And you generally want to just keep whatever you're working on. If you want to move it around, you would have needed to make a copy on another layer. You can just hide it so you need it. I'll hide all these other layers that I don't need to be looking at. I'll turn this all black again. But I'll use the white selection tool to find the areas I want to keep white. I'll click delete. And that's how I can actually get my shapes back or create new shapes. In this case, I think I want to actually delete this shape. So I get this kind of new and interesting shoulder, but it looks like it deleted too much of other stuff I didn't want to do. So I'll undo all this. And what I can do is go to Pathfinder Divide. And these should all be separate areas. So I'm going to delete this portion. And then this way I'm kind of working in the negative. I want to select a shape. And if it doesn't cut it out, you can select it and the shape below it, and then hit divide again. And it should allow you to get rid of any negative space string one. And now this time I can get rid of what I really want to get rid of, which is that edge. And now this is my new 2" by 2" section. So if I select this all, I believe it doesn't go all the way to the two edges. So I might actually need to make a separate 2" by 2" box on top of it, just so it keeps the edge that's not there. And we'll get rid of the inside, but I'll maybe just keep, for now, stroke on the outside, just so I can see what I'm working with. Put this into a new layer. So now this is my motif to turn into another motif. For now, I won't group these, but I'm going to check out my rulers and my grid. New ruler, show grid, snap to grid. Now, I'll put this up in some corner. If I want to rotate this, it should be really easy to copy and paste. Hold shift down, find the corner that shows you a little turning arrow. And it will snap to, should snap to itself, but right now it feels like it's snapping to something else. And then when you want to mirror it, it's slightly different from, say, Photoshop. You go to transform, reflect. So now this is reflecting either over the horizontal or the vertical. Yeah, like that looks. And just keep placing it in a different spot. If I want to invert it, I'd actually have to change its color to white and make the background black. So now this is the same square that I was using to show my where my edges are at. And I just took the stroke off, painted it black. I'm going to put it to the back. And now you can see what the inverse looks like. And then with this, I'll just take the stroke off. So if I want to make, let's say, an image of these elements, I might place them so they create an interesting negative space. Copy and paste and maybe flip the whole thing. Or if I don't like that, I can just keep turning it. But I need to select both the black background and the white part. Hold down shift. And you might notice that things kind of get off of the grid. If that happens, you just need to click it and go either up and down, left or right. And you'll see it kind of lock into place based on where the grid is able to make contact. And now this is my new four section motif. And I can copy all this, I can group it, copy, paste, and I can still look at it left, right, up, down, left, right. I can see how I feel about this overall pattern that I have, and see if I want to change anything. Whatever you want to change, you just have to go back to your original motif, make these copies again. But now that's just what this pattern looks like. And you can still see there's lots of little shifting I might need to do. And I zoom in. And you would save all of that if the motif was exactly where it needs to be. It looks like something's a little off, maybe off here. And with this, that's right. There we go. Edit copy. make a new document that's only 4 inches by 4 inches. Paste it into there. This should fit perfectly because it's all 2 inches. That's grid. Double check it. Go off. Right down. Right down. Right down. Now I can say this as like my motif that will be used for the silk screen. So the layered shoulder and eyeglass. In Illustrator, as well as a version PNG font's fine. 300 DPI. Okay, so there are lots of different options for how to do your pattern. So just so that you can even look at all of these and think about which ones you like, I'm going to put into the chat an image of this, and then in the Google Doc, you just want to select which one you like the look of. And then depending on which ones you like, I have a hidden layer that has all the names of how these are made. So these are all rotated, so these are just different pinwheels. And I just want to show the difference between when I zoomed in and cropped really large a font, it works much better for making a more simplified pattern. If I know that I'm going to have symmetry anyway, I did one where it's like the number 3 from the, I think it's like a font called Cooper or something, it begins with C, or Comic Sans, which I wanted to contrast the sharp arrow that I made just using shapes. But I made half of an arrow, knowing that it'll show up when it duplicates on the other side. So you could keep things in mind based on how it will reflect over the horizontal or reflect over the vertical axis. So this is symmetry about the vertical axis. And I alternated horizontal rows just to show what that means. Originally, when I made my copy, it looked like this. It just looked like the UPS boxes with arrows pointing up. But I was able to shift everything over, and it had a little bit more interest to me that way. So that's what it means by alternating on the horizontal layers. Also, I want to show an example of what it looks like if you have a lot of information. So here is all these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can show in another demo how I made them a seamless pattern. Oh, I already showed how to make that a seamless pattern, but you just copy things that are already on the left to the right. But you can see when you do a radial pattern, just how much complexity there is, how much density of lines there is. But yeah, that is all of these different options between checkerboard and not doing checkerboard. And all of these are based on choosing different types of symmetry.